Ended up going to TDC, the prison. Yeah, I did 2 years on a 5-year sentence. Made parole immediately. I was like the day I left prison, started using it again. Ended up going back on a violation. Finally finished my TDC 5-year time. About 6 months later, caught a state jail felony. Went to state jail. Did 18 months, I believe it was. While in state jail, got associated with a group of individuals. Now that I look back, that's probably one of the biggest mistakes I ever made.
Okay.
But you know, when you're in prison, you don't have a lot of choices. Sometimes that's one of your only choices.
Yeah.
You know, so when I got out of state jail, I did good for a few months. You know, and then ended up catching my first Fed case in 2005 for a precursor, what they call a precursor, and got a 84-month sentence.
There's hope for my city. We are the chosen ones. We are the light, reflecting His only Son.
All right, welcome to Hope for My City podcast, because we do have a special guest today, and our special guest is Tommy Clifton. Tommy, say what's up, bro.
What's going on, y'all? Glad to be here. Thank you, Pastor G, for having me. It's an honor. It's just really is a humbling experience. I thank you very much.
Amen. So, Tommy, would you let them know how we met, first of all, and then take us back to the beginning of your story?
Okay. I met Pastor G 5.5 years ago, I believe.
All right, something like that.
Something like that. I was just out of federal prison. I was at the Salvation Halfway House in Waco, and Pastor G came to teach a class, life skills class, I believe it was.
That's right.
And I just immediately, it felt like the good vibe between us, and he explained that he was pastor of the Methodist Church, and it was like a hip hop type environment then, and I'm a musician, so I really kind of was digging that. So me and 2 or 3 other people at the halfway house went to the service, and I started going after that. Ended up playing guitar for him for a little while, and in the praise team. Yeah, that was just how we met. It was awesome.
Yeah.
One thing I do remember, I don't know if you remember this or not. One thing I do remember is he promised me one day. He said, "Tommy, when you got to halfway house, I'm gonna take you to get a steak dinner." He said, "I'm gonna take you to get a steak dinner." I was like, "Man, okay, cool, all right." And I just kind of, okay, well, whatever. And then I'd been out about 2 weeks, maybe, and I get a text on my phone. He said, "You ready for that steak dinner?" I'm like, "Yeah, I bet." So yeah, that was awesome.
When you got out the halfway house.
I got the halfway house. I was at home then.
Yeah, we celebrated.
We sure did.
What's celebrated is repeated.
Yeah.
Getting out and
awesome.
staying out.
Yes, sir. It was awesome.
Well, just so you can picture really quick. So he comes out the feds in the feds halfway house, and got it made away from me, even though I came up out the feds to be able to minister to those folks there. And he showed up, and at the time we were doing a hip hop worship service.
Right,
so that means we had beat machine, drum machines, and different people singing and rapping and all that, right? And so here he comes in with the electric guitar,
right,
long hair, electric guitar, and he starts. We start doing renditions, hip hop renditions, and he puts in the instrument of the electric guitar and just starts killing it. So we're doing a live session, their worship service, and the whole the folks that are showing up, they're just doing like this, bobbing their head, and it was just an awesome experience.
It
But
really was.
God brought us together through a hip hop service. Ain't that something?
Right. It was great.
Yeah. So okay, so that's how we met. We'll pick back up on that. So take us back to your story, Tommy.
Oh well, I was born in Lake Jackson, which is down by the Gulf of Mexico, down by the coast. My whole life has been, or my whole young life was one tragedy after another. At 8 months old, we were in a car wreck. We were returning home because my father's from Temple. I pretty much grew up my teenage years in Temple, but I was born in Lake Jackson. We were returning home from Thanksgiving dinner and had a car accident that killed my mother, almost killed my father. So it was, tragedy just at a young age, and ended up moving around a lot as a child, from town to town.
Mm-hmm.
Settled in Temple when I was 14 or 15, I believe. You know, me and my father and my stepmother at the time. And it was just, you know, I guess I always had questions of what if, would things have been different if that accident wouldn't have happened. That was one main thing that I always kept in the back of my mind, you know.
Yeah.
And so, you know, as a teenager, I had a good home. It's really hard to explain. I had a really good home. You know, I had a good father that loved me, that actually spoiled me, really, you know.
Yeah.
And but somehow I got on the wrong track and started doing drugs and dropped out of school and doing all the things I shouldn't have been doing instead of things I should have been doing. You know, as a freshman, I was a good athlete. I played football. I did all these things, and then just one day just went the wrong way. You know, started smoking and drinking, ended up doing harder drugs. You know, and it just got to where that's all I wanted to do anymore. You know, I didn't want to play football. I didn't want to play my music. I just wanted to party. That's what I wanted to do. And you know, I would do good for a short period of time. I would get straight for a little while here and there. You know, and then something would happen, and I don't. I didn't have a way of dealing with my emotions very well, other than using drugs and getting high.
Right.
That's how I dealt with things.
Right.
You know, so that was just, you know, it just got deeper and deeper, and then it got to the point where I started selling drugs and things like this. Ended up catching my first felony when I was 18. On my first felony charge, when I was 18. They put me on probation. Of course, I didn't act right, of course, you know.
Yeah.
I still thought I knew everything. Still thought I'd, you know, get away with it. I was sneaky and all this other stuff, which, you know, that's not true, y'all. You know, but in your mind, that's how you think. You know, that's how you believe. Ended up getting in trouble again. Ended up going to TDC, to prison. I did 2 years on a 5-year sentence. Made parole. Immediately, the day I left prison, started using again. Ended up going back on a violation. Finally finished my TDC 5-year time. About 6 months later, caught a state jail felony. Went to state jail. Did 18 months, I believe it was. While in state jail, got associated with a group of individuals. Now that I look back, that's probably one of the biggest mistakes I ever made.
Okay.
But you know, when you're in prison, you don't have a lot of choices. Sometimes that's one of your only choices.
Yeah.
You know, so when I got out of state jail, I did good for a few months, you know, and then ended up catching my first Fed case in 2005 for a precursor, what they call a precursor, and got a 84-month sentence. Got time off for the RDAP program, which is a residential drug and alcohol program.
Hold on. If you don't mind, would you explain what you were talking about, precursor?
Yeah, precursor. I got caught with what they call pseudoephedrine, which is one of the ingredients for making methamphetamine.
Okay.
So a certain amount, you know, you're not supposed to have. It was actually what it was. Actually, cold medicine is what it actually was.
Yeah.
Pseudofed pills, and but it's called a precursor, is what they call it. It's
Okay.
like just one of the ingredients.
Okay.
And they gave me 84 months for that, 7 years for that, and
So were you really sick? Or
no,
Okay.
no,
All right.
no.
So you were guilty as charged.
I was guilty as charged. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, yeah, definitely guilty.
Okay.
So, you know, all these times I'm going down to prison, I'm doing what most of us do. I'm trying to make deals with God. I'm trying to plead with God. You know, if you just get me out of this, I'll do this. If you do this for me, I'll do this. Knowing it's a lie, knowing I had no intention of doing right. You know, just hoping that you know, because I've always believed in God. I've always known that God is real.
Okay.
I was just never a follower of Christ. I never accepted him into my life. You know, I've always known, you know, it's just I was just never a Christian person.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But I would try to plea bargain with God. I try, you know, hey, look, man, if you keep me, or you know, keep my prison sentence low, or keep me not going to prison, then I'll go to church, or I'll do whatever, you know.
Okay.
Knowing it wasn't true. Knowing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And of course that never worked. You know, God knows if we're lying or not. You
Yeah.
know, that's just
Yeah.
that's the way it is. And so when I was in federal prison, I decided, you know, I'm gonna take this RDAP program, you know, At the time, I'm making it sound, yeah, I want to go to RDAP because I want to get clean. I want to do right. I want to go to RDAP because I got 12 months off my sentence. If we're keeping it real.
So where were you at?
Started off in USP Florence, Colorado.
Okay.
Yeah. Because of my association with certain people, they put me in the maximum US, which USP is United States Penitentiary. It's the maximum prison.
Okay.
You know, they have low, medium, and high. It's a high maximum security prison.
Mm-hmm.
They sent me all the way to Colorado for about a year.
Okay.
And then I got a little altercation there, so they sent me back to Texas to Beaumont.
Okay.
And what they call Bloody Beaumont.
I often say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the medium there for a couple of years, 2.5, 3 years, something like that. And then at that time, Beaumont didn't have what they call the RDAP program, the Residential Drug and Alcohol Program, wasn't at Beaumont, so they moved me to El Reno, Oklahoma.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was there for about 18 months. And then after I finished RDAP program, went to halfway house for 6 months and got out. And I did good for a few months. I don't know, man, a few months. And then I met Renee, which is my wife now.
Okay.
Yeah. So we met online, actually, on one of the online dating things. It's kind of funny. Yeah, kind of funny. But anyway, we met. We were talking while I was in the halfway house. We were talking a little bit. And then when I got to the halfway house, we met and started dating, whatever. And I moved in with her out in China Springs. And about a month later, my daughter was killed. My 19-year-old daughter was shot and killed. And that just sent me spiraling in a whole downward spiral all over again. Within 4 months, 5 months after that, I was back in prison on a violation because I was still on federal release, federal paper, and
supervised release.
Supervised release, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I got several dirty UAs, you know.
The color codes and everything.
Color, yeah, all that.
If you're in the feds, you know what all that means.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the color codes, all that good stuff. So I filled some UAs, and first they sent me back to the halfway house for 90 days, to the Salvation Army halfway house for 90 days, and come out there and then.
Hold on,
mm-hmm.
if you don't mind. So you said your daughter was 19?
19, yes.
And you had been out for how long?
Not long. That happened in September. I got out in February, I believe. I left the halfway house around February.
Okay. So your daughter, you said, got shot and killed at 19 years old.
Yes.
You getting out of prison and engaged with crime the way you were, being a father, what was going on in your mind and your heart and how you were feeling mentally, emotionally? What?
You know, one thing that's hard for me, or easy for me to admit now, was hard for me to admit then, is that I was never a good father. I had more than one child, and I was never a father to them like I should have been. Never, you know. And that's one thing that's my biggest regret in life, is that my grown kids, I wasn't a father to them at all. And I've tried to make amends the best I can. I set each one of them down separately and talked to them and apologized and explained to them that it was 100% on me, because you know kids tend to think things are their fault a lot of times. And I explained to them, hey, this is 100% on me. This is, you know, this wasn't anything y'all did. This is just my faults, my addiction, my whatever, you know. And for the most part, I think they forgive me. You know, me and my oldest daughter still have some. Not my oldest daughter, my second oldest daughter still has some issues.
Okay.
But for the most part, most of my kids say, you know, hey, Leo, at least you're trying now. At least you're doing, you know, what you're supposed to do now.
But at that time, with that particular daughter, where were y'all at in y'all's relationship?
We had started seeing each other again. I drove and spent some time with her a few times.
So there was some reconnecting going on.
Yes, there was, definitely. Yeah, and she had just had a baby too. Just had a baby.
Really?
Yeah. Mercedes, my granddaughter, she's beautiful. She's wonderful. And she's back in my life now too, which
really?
Was really Mercedes. Yeah, it was really a blessing. Awesome little girl. She's 13 now, I believe. 13 now.
So
yeah,
brother,
awesome.
So brother, at that time, you being a father and having regrets, how did you feel, bro?
Oh, terrible, man. Terrible.
How so?
Just because I knew I had hurt these children that didn't deserve to be hurt. You know, they were children. They didn't deserve to long for that relationship with their father. It should have that should be automatic. A child should not long for that. A child should not want for that. That should be automatic. And I didn't give that to them. So I felt like dirt. It felt bad, you know. I felt extremely. I would get depressed over it.
Really?
Yeah, I get depressed over it. Which just once again at that time I didn't know how to process my emotions. So depression would lead to using again, which is like a cycle I couldn't get out of. It is a big cycle I couldn't get out of.
So that was a heavy blow to you as a man, and you said you pretty much, you know, you dove back into
Oh yeah,
the unhealthy things, and I think most people that are watching this can understand trying to cope with it, and as a track record, you've coped with it at that time in an unhealthy way.
yes,
So that's pretty devastating for something like that to happen, and you did what you've always known to do
right.
on dealing with things. Is that right?
Yes, that's all I ever knew. You know, feel pain, feel emotion, feel sadness, anger, whatever. Get high to suppress that emotion. That was my life, my whole life. That's how it's been, my whole life. That's all I knew how to do.
Okay,
You know?
so that happened,
Mm-hmm.
and then
I went back to the halfway house for 90 days. Instead of sending me back to prison, my probation officer, he was a hard probation officer, but he was a good dude. You know what I'm saying? He was if you're doing right, I'll treat you right. If you do wrong, I'm gonna get you kind of guy. So, you know, I was doing wrong and he got me, you know, but he went to bat for me. You know, he said, look, he went in front of the judge and said, look, this happened. I believe if this wouldn't have happened, he would still be doing okay. So let's send him to the halfway house. Let's get him cleaned up for 90 days and let's try this again. So I went to Salvation Army for 90 days. I came back out and went back to, Renee had got a trailer in China Springs for us. We went and lived there for a little while. And it wasn't very long at all. The depression was just, you know, it was tough.
really
So I started using again.
depression. You mean dealing with life in general plus the past?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I was very angry. When Samantha was killed, I was very angry. Very, very angry. You know, of course, she was my daughter and getting killed, so that's angry, of course. And then I was angry because I hadn't been there a whole life, and now I was again, and I felt like things were going good, you know, and then it was taken from you again.
So you said being angry. Angry at who or what, or in your mind?
Angry at myself,
Okay.
you know, for not being there all those years. Angry at myself. Angry at the whole situation. And to be 100% honest with you, G, angry at God.
Okay.
Angry at God for doing it. I didn't understand, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That was a big part. You know, I remember one time I had left for a few days, and Renee came and found me. You know, I remember this distinctly. You know, I remember this. And she said, "Look, I've got to go. I can't be around you right now." She said, "But I'll pray for you," and it enraged me.
Your wife Renee tells you that?
Yeah, she said, "I'll pray for you," and it enraged me. I wanted to fight. I was so mad.
Really?
I told her, "Don't you ever pray to God for me, never." You know, because I was so angry that God didn't stop this. I was so angry
Okay.
that, you know, because in my mind, he allowed this situation. You know what I'm saying? I didn't understand things the way I understand now.
Okay. So if you don't mind, you talked about the tragedy. How old were you with your mom?
8 months old.
You were 8 months old.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up, at some point, realizing that, or you were told at some point.
My dad remarried when I was 4, maybe 3 or 4.
Okay.
So, well, I had a wonderful stepmother. She was wonderful. She loved me very much, like her own child, and she was wonderful. You know, and she was my stepmom from the time I was 3 or 4 till I was about 15, maybe. And then her and my father divorced. You know, and but she was awesome. She was wonderful.
So at what point did you find out about your mom?
I don't really remember. I don't remember exactly at what time.
how would you say whenever you did find out that you dealt with that at a young age? Would you say you were young when you found out, or were you?
I was
older?
young, yeah. I was still young. I don't remember exactly what age, but I was still pretty young.
So how did that affect you? How did you deal with that as a young person, and then growing up into a young adult or whatever?
You know, I think when, cause I remember thinking, but this is my mom, because the woman had been living with me since I was a baby, a toddler.
Gotcha.
So I was like, this is my mom. How can that, you know? I don't think it really hit me as to what the situation really was until I was maybe a teenager,
Okay.
and then I realized that, you know, this was my stepmother, you know, and because she treated me like I was her child, you know, and she was really good to me. She really was. So
Were there any triggering at that age when you kind of started figuring out life and kind of everything the way it is? Were there any triggering moments that you can remember that made you feel bummed out about not having your biological mother?
I just always wondered if things would be different,
Yeah.
you know, because like my father was an awesome dude, awesome guy, my best friend, took really good care of me, you know, very awesome. But how do I explain this? My father's family and my mother's family are just two different types of people. Does that make sense?
Okay.
You know, and I've always wondered, you know, if my personality would be different, if I would have acted different, or what have you, if I would have been around both families more. Because very rarely do I see my mother's family. You know, even when I was a child, every once in a great while I would, you know, and I love them to death, and they love me, and they're very nice to me, but I haven't been around them a lot. So I've always wondered if things would be different if I would have been around them more, you know?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So, you know, it's just, but like I said, you know, my family, my dad's family is wonderful people. Wonderful
Sure.
people. Yeah, awesome
Sure.
people.
Okay. So Renee, your wife,
Mm-hmm.
is praying for you. You get upset. You're angry because you're mad at God.
Right.
Continue, brother.
So she left, and she went. I was in Temple. She came back to Waco for a little while, and I just kept doing what I was doing. You know, ended up more dirty UAs, not having an address. You know, and you know, if you're on paper, if you're on supervised release, you have to have an address. You have to have a location of where you at.
Yeah.
I didn't have any of that. So I ended up going back to prison
Snap. For not having.
for dirty UAs and not having an address
Oh, okay.
and several things. You know, I ended up going back to prison for 11 months, the 11th violation, and they killed my paper. So
For the people who don't know, what does that mean?
kill your paper means that, say you have 18 months left on supervised release, they will give you an 11-month sentence and squash it. That means that you're no longer, when you come out, you're a free man. You're a free person. You're no longer on any type of release. You're 100% free and clear.
Right.
And that's what happened. So, and that was probably the worst thing that could have happened.
Really? How so?
Because Renee picked me up in El Reno. They sent me back to El Reno, Oklahoma. Renee picked me up and drove me to the halfway house.
What type of facility is that? What type of fed place is that?
It's what they call a medium.
A medium.
Yeah, it's a medium security facility. Yeah.
Okay.
So she drives me to the halfway house. I had to do like 30 days in the halfway house because anytime you come out of the feds, 99% of the time you have to go to the halfway house first.
Right on.
So she drove me there. I did like 30 days in the halfway house and got out, and I had enough money to get us a motel room by the week, kind of weekly deal, you know. And I had no paper. I had nobody controlling me. I had no type of supervision. I had nothing. So to me, that's, yeah, here we go. You know, I'm fixing to have fun now, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And it's kind of crazy. The the day I got out of the halfway house, Renee gets pregnant with my youngest son, Samuel.
Oh.
To that day. I mean, it was that day. And he was born early. So I think he was born right at 7 months. He was premature baby, right at 7 months.
Okay.
He had a lot of health problems. He still does. And at 45 years old, having a newborn child and just wanting to be 21 again, wanting to do the things I've always been doing, it was just very, very. It was a blessing. I mean, Samuel is wonderful. He's the biggest blessing in my life. He's wonderful, but at the time, it was not what I wanted. You know, I had almost all my life from the age of 18, I've either been on probation, in prison, or on parole.
Okay.
One of those three things. This is the first time in my life I wasn't on any of those things. I had freedom. I could do what I wanted with nobody saying anything. And then now this child's born. And it's like, you know, as much as I love this little baby, at the same time I was mad. I was like, man, you know, it's tying me back down again. So I ran from the situation. I ran from the situation, and Renee, bless her heart, she chased me down, and she was, you know, because she wanted that family so bad.
Yeah.
You know, and finally she told me, she said, I'll never forget the day. I think Sam just turned a year old, I think.
Okay.
And we had been running around Temple from house to house, from motel to motel room.
Yeah.
You know. And she finally said, look, dude, I can't do this no more. I've got this baby I've got to take care of. Bye. I'll see you later. You know, if you ever get your head right, give me a call.
Wow.
Until then, don't come around me.
And what state were you in at that point? What state of mind, I meant to say, were you in?
At that point in time, I was so deep in my addiction that I'm not gonna say I didn't care, because it hurt me, you know, but I was so deep in my addiction that I didn't see any way out of it.
Okay.
You know, so they went back to Waco, and I guess it was 3, 4, 5 months later, I caught my last felony in 2014.
Really?
It was September 11th, 2014 is when the indictment came down. It was a 32 man indictment. They called everybody but me. I turned myself in on September 15th of 2014 because the feds, DEA, took CPS to where Child Protective Services, to where Renee was staying, and this is how they do. I mean, they told her, look, we know you know where he is. Either tell us where he is, or we're taking your child from you. So she called me and she said, look, man, here's what's going on. And I said, well, ask him to give me 24 hours. I need 24 hours to see you and Sam. And the FBI agent said, okay, you got 24 hours. So Renee and Samuel came where I was at. We spent the night together. The next morning, I called them and I turned myself in.
Wow.
And that's my clean date. I've been clean ever since.
And what year was that again?
2014.
Wow, so it's been how many years now?
9 years.
9 years.
9 years clean and sober now.
Clean and sober.
Yes, sir.
So you go into your time, or what happens from that situation?
So Sam was very sick, so my attorney asked for special circumstances.
Okay.
So I got to go to the halfway house,
Okay.
what they call pretrial.
Okay.
Okay, for those of you who don't know, the halfway house has people come out of prison, and they also have people going into prison.
Right.
That's what they call pretrial. I stayed there about 8 months, waiting to go to court, waiting to get sentenced.
Okay.
And I got sentenced to 4 years.
Okay.
For 9 grams, possession of 9 grams of methamphetamine.
Okay.
They sent me to Beaumont again, but this time because of my age and all this, they sent me to the camp in Beaumont, which is just a whole different weird kind of deal.
Yeah.
It was really different for me, you know.
Yeah.
Once a year, Renee would save up money all year. Once a year, she would bring Sam to see me. So I got, a little all weekend visit,
Okay.
And I took parenting classes. I took as much as I could to better myself,
Yeah.
And then I came home. I was in halfway house for a little while, a few months. I got the job that I'm working at now. Still have the same job.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And that's just it's been good ever since. It's been. There's still been troubles. I mean, there's obstacles, of course. But life's been good. Life's been good ever since.
So you were in the halfway house. Then that's where we met. Picking back
Yes.
up on that story.
Uh-huh.
You volunteered to play in the band,
Mm-hmm.
and on the worship team, I should say. And so you were part of that. and then or you joined the worship team, and then so pick up from then. What happened? What's your experience? What's going on?
I got another halfway house, and I went and lived in Hewitt with my daughter.
Okay.
Me and Renee and Samuel live with my daughter. Uh, our relationship is not what it should be. We hindsight being 2020, of course, I probably shouldn't have moved in with her at the time. We probably should have built our relationship more before. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that seemed like the easiest thing to do at the time, financially, and all that. So it didn't work out too well. So
Okay.
so me and Renee ended up moving back to Waco and getting our own place. Uh, it's a trip being clean. A lot of times people say, well, you got clean in prison. That time doesn't count, but to me it does, because being at a camp facility,
Oh yeah.
there's access to whatever you want.
In any facility. Yeah.
And so I'm counting all that time in my clean time. Some people say, well, clean time when you got out of prison, this, that, and the other thing. No, clean time when I stopped using until now.
That's right.
That's what I count.
You made choices healthier choices for you.
Exactly. I don't associate with a lot of people, with any of the people. I used to associate with. I distance myself from everybody.
Yeah. Why is that necessary, do you think, for you?
Because, okay, if me and you kicking it for 15, 20 years,
Yeah.
we used to do what we do together, now you're clean and I'm clean. We get together and we go back to what we used to do.
Yeah.
Just us seeing I'm not saying you specifically, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just seeing somebody that I used to hang out with, I used to run around with, triggers all those memories, and we start talking about, oh, remember when we did this? Remember when we did that? Next thing we know, we're doing this and we're doing that.
Oh, snap.
So I can't, there's people that I've been friends with since I was 15 years old.
Yeah.
That I just, every once in a while on Facebook, I say, hey, how you doing? You good? Yeah, come see me. No, I can't do that, man. I love you, man, like a brother, but I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
So you're saying for your own, it's nothing against the other person or the people. It's just for your own mental, emotional health and sobriety and spirituality for you and your family. You have to set up boundaries for yourself. It's not against nobody.
Exactly.
But it's just so that you can stay on a pathway that you feel God is calling you to be on.
Exactly. I wish everybody the best. Everybody, I wish all these people the best. People from my past, people like just me. I wish everybody the best. I wish everybody blessings. I wish everybody a good life, prosperity, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But just some of the people, from my past, I can't. As much as I love them,
Yeah.
been lifelong friends with them. Consider some of my brothers.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
Because I know just in the blink of an eye, I could be right back where I was again, and I can't allow that. I won't allow that.
Yeah. No, that's a tough thing to do. It's easier said than done, right? And you set up boundaries for yourself that is not personal to anybody.
Exactly.
Other than personal between you and God and what you got to do because of what you got going on, right?
Right.
And no offense to what other people got going on, but you have your pathway that you feel is appropriate for you to support you and your family, to stay sober, to stay out of the penitentiary.
Right.
And I don't think people realize or talk enough about how hard that is, because you're human, right? So people are not going to agree with you when you make it on this side. They won't agree with you, and that's okay. Your decisions to live a healthier life for you, may not be for them, but for you, can't be determined on what other people feel, whether they like you or not because of it, or whatever comes with it. You have to be willing to move forward despite the struggles going on around you or inside you, right? Because if not, you fold up like a lawn chair because someone says, I don't appreciate you not being around here no more, right? I don't appreciate you joining me or us in whatever's going on, right?
Right, absolutely. I used to be very concerned about my image,
Okay.
about how people perceive me as a person. And, about this big image I had, you know, and now I don't care. I mean, I just, you know, not to sound cold towards somebody or anything like that. I don't care what so and so thinks of me now.
Yeah.
I don't. You know, I don't care what people say about me. If they talk behind my back, you know, I don't. I used to be, if somebody say something behind my back, I want to go fight. I want to go find them, and I want to go handle this business. You're not going to do me that way.
Protecting the image.
Now I don't. Yeah, exactly. Now I don't care. If somebody likes me, great. If they don't like me, well, you know, that's your choice. That's that individual's choice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't affect me anymore. You know.
Yeah, I mean, think about that though. For those of you that are listening, how when we try to protect our image, right? I mean, you do whatever it takes to protect that image.
You do, absolutely.
And the image that we're talking about is like, you know, the street image or that life out there that's unhealthy for us at least. We don't want to do whatever it takes to protect it. In fact, we let go of that image, right? And you let go of that image, and your protection then, what you're willing to die, the hill you're willing to die on, is that to protect now your family.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Be it your son, daughter, your wife, whatever, right? And so you shift. You still got the same mind, same heart, same energy, but in a different direction, and saying, I have to take care of me and my family that God has given us in our situation based on who we are as believers, and saying I got to protect that at all costs. So, and that means setting up boundaries. That means telling you no, and saying I'm sorry, but you know we can go eat some food, but I can't go do X, Y, and Z.
Exactly.
You know,
right.
I may want to be quite frank with you at times, but I don't do what I want anymore. I do what I need to do for the sake of me and my family.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So that's just a shift, right? You're still the same person, but you're using that energy and that time and space to try to get you some productive results. Productive meaning the goal that you're aiming for now,
Right,
which in
right,
your
right.
case is to not just get out of prison, but stay out of prison, right? Not just get a job, but keep a job,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
And that's hard, man, when you do that soberly.
Man, it's tough.
How is it hard? Talk about it, bro.
It's tough because, you know, life doesn't change just because you're sober. You're still going to have issues. You're still going to have problems. You're still going to have emotions, which is my biggest, like I said before, my biggest downfall is my emotions, how to deal with my emotions. You know, things are still going to happen. You know, people are still going to get sick. People are still going to pass away. Bad things are still going to happen in life. So you have to, I mean, it's hard to not fall back into the same old thing of repressing your emotions one way or another, which in my case was using drugs. So now it's all about prayer for me now. I pray now, you know. I don't plead with God. I don't ask, you know, I don't try to make deals with God now. I don't ask God to take things from me. I ask God to walk with me through things.
Okay.
And that strengthens me, you know, because I know things are going to happen. It's just not avoidable. So I ask God to walk with me, you know, carry me sometimes even, you know, through these things, so that I will come out on the other side of these things a better person, a bigger man, a better father, a better husband, what have you, you know. And that's how I do it now. But it's tough. I mean, it's hard. Myself, there's 2-3 times a day sometimes I just want to give up. I'll be at work and something's not going right. I'm like, man, forget this job. I'm going home.
Yeah.
But then I think, well, you know what? I got rent to pay. I got groceries to buy. I got clothes to pay for.
Yeah.
You know, I can't do that. So, you know, I stay at work. You know, I get up sometimes 4:15 in the morning. I get 4:15 every morning to go to work. The alarm clock goes off. I'm like, man, I ain't doing this today, man. I quit, man. I'm tired, man.
Yeah.
And then that inner voice, you know, tells me, hey, wait a minute, man. You got that little boy you got to take care of. You got things you got to do.
Yeah.
Well, okay, here we go. And
Yeah.
it's tough sometimes, it's tough, but with being in my walk with the Lord, I've learned that how do I say it's not gonna last forever.
Right.
Tough things don't last forever.
Yeah.
It's just momentarily. Troubles aren't gonna last forever. Problems aren't gonna last forever.
Yeah.
They come, they go. Whether you can, how do I say? I know now that I've been through things that are harder than I will ever go through again,
Mm.
for the most part. Other than maybe losing another child or something like that, but I've been through that already and I lived.
Mm.
I've been through prison and I lived. I've been through drug addiction and I lived.
Mm.
I've been through homelessness, through all these things, and I'm still okay now. I'm still here.
Mm.
I'm still fighting back. So I know that I can face pretty much anything because I already have,
Yeah.
and I've already come through it.
Mm. Overcome.
Overcome. Not just scarred, maybe.
Yeah.
I've got my black eyes in life, but I'm still here. I'm still fighting. I'm still kicking.
And because of God, you're an overcomer, brother.
Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely. Absolutely. It's really awesome that and I'm not trying to brag, but I'm very proud of who I am now.
Yeah, for sure.
As much as I didn't like who I used to be, I love myself now.
Mm.
And that's one thing I had to learn. Because all the things I've done, all the bad things I've done, the life I lived, the people I hurt, but I'm not that person. I'm still the same physical person, of course, but I'm
Yeah.
not. I've matured so much, and I've grown through that, and I'm proud of the things I've gotten. I've had the same job for 5 years. Me and Renee together for 13 years.
13
Bless her
years.
heart, 13 years.
Hold on. Let me... Shout out to Renee. Shout out to all the wives out there that put up
for real,
with our stinky butts, especially those of us that been in trouble and got a
Absolutely.
past. And, man, it's difficult for the women in our lives to have to deal with us
It
that
is.
have been through
It is.
situations. I mean, so can you speak to that, bro? Like, talking about Renee, what would, I mean, man, that's, how many years did you say?
13.
13 years.
13 years.
So what's one of the first things in your mind, a highlight of, as we're here, that you really appreciate about Renee? When you think about all the way back then to now.
Golly.
If you had to narrow down on one or a couple of things that you just really appreciate about her.
Her strength.
How so?
How strong she is. Because she deals with a lot of medical problems herself.
Okay.
Lupus, diabetes, just a whole list of things.
Yeah.
But she still goes to work every day. She owns and runs her own business.
Wow.
She works more hours than I do sometimes.
Wow.
And she still comes home and makes sure I eat.
What?
Yeah, she still comes home and makes sure Sam, because Sam has a lot of medical problems.
Sure.
Still makes sure Sam has everything he needs. She's just super, super strong woman.
And make sure that you got something.
And make sure my
spoil
fat
like
cell-
some milk, bro.
For real.
Oh my gosh.
For real, man.
Wow.
She always tells me to. She says, "You'll never leave me. Who would feed you?" And I'm like, okay, But her.
Well, I
strength,
do hear
man.
you always brag about the tamales and
Hey, already. Best
menudo
tamales in Waco, man.
and stuff like that. Oh
But-
yeah,
but yeah, her she's a very strong person, and she's awesome.
So you've gotten away from the fed food
Oh, definitely, for sure.
and got you some home cooked meals going on at
Oh
times.
yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah. Shout out to Renee. She's a blessing of a woman, and me and my wife have had an opportunity to, meet with both of you and fellowship and eat and do life together. And it's been a blessing for us to be able to do that. So your time, at the church, what has been your experience? As we would get together and do things.
Even though it's been a while since I've been to church, I just with Sam's medical issues and
Yeah.
everything going on, it seems like all of our time is either at work or doctor's appointments,
Yeah,
hospital
sure.
visits.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
but we miss that, man. We miss that because one thing I learned about. Now I don't know. I haven't been to a lot of churches, so I can't say all churches,
yeah.
but particularly your church, the Methodist Church, is they're very accepting. You know what I'm saying? There was no judgment.
Oh,
There was no judgment.
Yeah.
Everybody there. I mean, you can look at me and with my tattoos and my long hair. You can tell I've been to prison. You can tell I've lived that life.
Yeah.
But there was no judgment there. There's only acceptance,
Yeah.
and that was really really awesome to
Yeah.
to walk into the room and just being accepted.
Right on.
You know.
Right on. Well, now, and it's been a blessing. Like I said, we've been able to just spend some time together, share some meals together,
Right.
worship God together. With our families all around, and so that sense of community is I would say key to be able to tap into a local church and have those type of experiences because through that you don't feel alone. It's real easy to feel alone when you're not tapped in somewhere and around like-minded people that are trying to go in the same direction. It's always an encouragement because we need one another, right?
Right. Absolutely.
And so, do you have any questions, thoughts, or
I don't know about questions.
comments, concerns?
I just want people to know that I mean, people that were in my position that it can be done. It can be done. If I can do it, anybody can do it. I promise you. If I can come up out of that life, and I can do the things that I'm doing now, anybody can. A lot of people seem to think that they're so far down that there's no way up, and that's just not true. That's absolutely not true. If I can do it, anybody can do it. And that's I truly stand on that. I truly stand on that.
How did that happen for you? Your refining moment with God, where it was just ignited. Did that happen out of prison or in prison?
When I was at the halfway house on pretrial,
Okay,
they have the Salvation Army. I was in Salvation Army halfway house.
sure.
They would have a bus go to the Salvation Army Church
Okay,
every Sunday.
all right.
There was a guy there, one of the ministers there, Mr. New was his name,
Okay,
and he was a musician. And I asked if I said, "Hey, I play guitar. Can I sit in with y'all?" And he's like, "Well, how about you come to practice a few times and we'll see how it goes." The first 5 or 6 practices, I sat there in the front row. I had my guitar in my hand. I'm sitting there looking. He wouldn't even let me play with me. You just sit there. I guess he wanted to see if I would keep coming back. I don't know. Finally, he said, "Okay, get up here and you strum a couple songs with us, whatever." Okay. So finally, he let me play. And this is, me being that, because my ego at that time was huge. It still is. But I mean, back then it was huge. It was huge. And so I'll never forget it. It was I believe it was Mother's Day. I believe it was.
all right.
I got my first time to ever play with a church praise team in a church service.
Yeah,
And I get up on stage and there's little old ladies everywhere, little women everywhere, and I almost passed out. I was so nervous. I was like, "Oh my God!" But my ego kicks in my mind. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fixing to show these people how this is done." I'm fixing to show them. I'm a rock star. I'm fixing to show them how to do this.
yeah.
So I go to put my guitar on, and my guitar strap breaks,
Oh,
and I have to play the whole song down on one knee. And right then, I knew God was trying to tell me something. You know what I'm saying? He was trying to tell me, "Hey, I'm fixing to show you something. I'm fixing to break you pretty much." Because he was fixing to say, this is his show. This isn't my show. He's the rock star, not me. I'm not fixing to steal all the glory.
yeah.
And I played that whole song on my knee, and I came off stage, and I was just covered in sweat. And Renee was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "I don't know, man." After service, Mr. New came up and said, "Man, what happened?" And I said, "Well, my guitar strap broke, so I had to play the song on my knees so I could hold my guitar." And he just laughed. And I guess he knew, he knew what just happened. He knew that God was trying to tell me something. That I'm not the star of the show.
Yeah.
This is his show, and I need to serve him. And at that moment, that just I ended up about 3 months later, I ended up going to Beaumont and get baptized. Easter Sunday 2016, I got baptized in federal prison. Yeah, in federal prison. And how can I approach this without let's see here. All through, okay, I don't know if people realize how racially divided prison is.
Okay, yeah, talk about it.
Prison's very racially divided.
Okay, talk about it.
You go into the chow hall, which is where we eat our meals. You have the white section, you have the Hispanic section, you have the black section, and that's the way it is. We don't really, very rarely do they intermingle.
Okay.
So when I got baptized, the chaplain who baptized me was a black man.
Okay.
So it was. I explain it. It was strange for me.
Okay.
But at the same time, I believe it was one more thing that God was trying to show me.
Okay.
In my life,
Yeah.
That's not this big deal that a lot of us try to make it.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was, so I got baptized in prison, and it was awesome. It was great, and I ended up playing in the prison praise team.
Wow.
Yeah, that was awesome deal.
And so that was multicultural?
Yes, absolutely. Matter of fact, I think there's only me and one other white guy that was in the praise team.
Is that right?
I believe so. If I remember right, I believe so. Yeah. Yep.
Well.
So
but that speaks to the life transformation, right?
It does.
How God will have you doing things you never ever thought you would be able to do. Especially coming from, places where we as people have biases, right, or
exactly.
prejudices and all that, which we all have them, right?
Right.
So when you have to break that, whether it's the bias of saying, well, now that person has a uniform on, or no, that whatever the case may be, a badge or whatever, right? I mean, I'm just being real, right? I mean, we run around with a lot of heavy biases towards people and all that kind of stuff, right? And it's our group against your group, and whatever that means, and whatever way it unfolds, it just does, right? And you're right, in prison, that's a big deal.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Not so much at the camp and lower
sure
facilities, but at the mediums and highs. That when I first went to, there were very strict rules, as far as race and different groups, and you had to follow those rules.
Right.
So it was embedded in my mind. Yeah. I did so many years in those situations.
Yeah.
That now I come down here and it's different. It's not so much enforced, so to say.
Right.
So it was just really started out to be an uncomfortable situation, which came to I came to where it was not a big deal anymore.
Yeah.
It really wasn't. It really wasn't. But that moment, getting baptized like that was really cool. I mean, it really was. It was cool.
I think, like, as you're saying that God spoke to you and you felt like God was challenging you, it's a trip for me to, like, when people listening to this, they will say, that wasn't God, that was whatever. It's crazy for me, the kickback on that, right? Because we'll sit here and say, man, I had this feeling, that I was going to hit a lick, and I went into that house, bro. And, bro, there was this and that and the other, man. I just felt it, bro. And they'll be like, heck yeah, I had that feeling too.
Right.
But, I mean, you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
exactly.
We robbed that person, and, man, I just knew it, had that feeling, right?
Right.
So we can talk like that, and people be like, heck yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But you start talking about God, right, and spiritual things, it's just a trip to me. Coming from that side, being on this side, how people will knock the heck out of you for, saying that you had this feeling, but it's in a different feeling. You're talking about God, and stuff like that.
Right, right, exactly.
But not,
and, fighting my addiction. I tried everything. I tried the RDAP program in Feds. I've tried Narcotics Anonymous. I've tried all these things, and I'm not putting down NA or anything like that.
Right.
But it never worked for me personally.
Yeah.
It never worked for me. I would try, and I would try to work the program and all this, and it never worked for me.
Yeah.
The only thing that worked for me was giving everything to God
Yeah.
and asking God, please take this drug addiction from me.
Yeah. Both
And
of us.
nothing worked for years until then. I tried everything,
Yeah.
and that's the only thing that worked. That's the only thing that worked for me.
You
But
know,
that's just me personally. You know
No,
what I'm
but that's a blessing, bro. And I just
absolutely.
I think that, as we hear each other out like that, we ought to be happy for each other as humans. I mean, shoot, some of y'all be so quick to, like, that wasn't God and, whatever, you just, whatever, right? And instead of saying, you know what, bro, that's your experience. That's great for you. Real quick, you'll tear him down or me down and say,
Right.
that's some weak stuff. They ain't no God. And then I get it. I hear you. But at the same time, where's the part where you say, hey, man, that works for you? Whatever works for you, that's great, right? Long as it changes you and you get to be at home with your family, you know what I'm saying? And, if it works for you, knock your socks out. And if you don't want it to work for you, knock your socks out. Dale gas. Where we come from is what we say. But I share the same experience.
Right.
Nothing worked till I surrendered everything to God, right? And it happened to work. And so it worked for me. It's worked for you. So for some of you who've never tried God on this level, then try him out, because it's blessed our socks off. And our socks off.
Absolutely, man.
And we're here today testifying, of the goodness of God and what he can do. He can do your walking miracle, bro. Dude, I remember when understanding his past, his position on things, showing up to the church, playing in the band. And, the majority is, there at the church is a bunch of, black and brown people. Right. I mean, that's just the God honest truth, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where we were at the South Campus doing the hip hop.
Absolutely, yeah.
And me knowing him and about him and his past, it just has always tripped me out. He'd be up there like it ain't nothing. And then I'd see this multicultural thing happening, and, even with my own past and all that, and I'm like, man, this is beautiful to be a part of.
Right.
When you see people that normally don't come together, come together.
Exactly.
And last thing is your outlook on law enforcement. How was it before, prior to your baptism and conversion experience, right, with the Lord?
Just keeping it 100% real.
Yeah, keep it real, bro.
At that time in my life, they were the enemy. It was me against them. It was my job to get away with something. It was their job to catch me.
Okay.
And I that was it. I didn't have anything to do with them. I don't want to say I hated them because I didn't know them on a personal level to hate them, but I had no use for law enforcement. You know what I'm saying? I had no use for them. They were the enemy to me.
So you stayed away. You had to stay away.
If I was in a store and they walked in, I left. If I'm driving down the road and I see them from, I turn. I avoid them at all costs, because like I said, it was my job to get away with it. It was their job to catch me. They're trying to stop me from my way of life.
Yeah.
So therefore, I avoided them at all costs.
So you definitely wouldn't talk to them.
Definitely no.
In any kind of way.
Absolutely.
I mean, because
not.
it was a repellent, like it was just like an opposite.
Yeah,
you would go the other way.
99% of the time I was breaking the law anyway. So why would I put myself in the position to
look at them or to be around them or
exactly. It just I
got
avoid
ghosts.
at all costs.
You got ghosts when you see
quick, fast, and in a hurry, man. It was yeah. They were them other people that yeah. It was.
And to be fair, it's a part of the culture of the lifestyle they would come up out of.
Exactly.
I mean, period. It just is, right? So, how has that changed from having your experience with God and all that?
Well, now, if I'm driving down the road and I put beside a police, I throw them deuces and I keep on going about my business. I don't get nervous. I don't get scared. because I'm not doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
You know, now there are times they'll see me and the way I look, they still kind of, you know, give me a little cross
Eyeball you,
look and
yeah, yeah.
eyeballing me. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But instead of avoiding running from them, hey, how you doing, sir? Have a nice day. God bless you. Keep on going. You know.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they'll be taken aback by it. They're like, "What in the world is this dude?" You know what I'm saying?
They're not used to that.
They're not used to it at all. Somebody who looks like me, covered in tattoos and long hair and whatever, you know, they're not used to me being cordial, even polite to them, even respectful to them.
Come on now.
They're not used to that. So a lot of times they're taken aback, you know. But they don't bother me like they used to, you know.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm not scared of them anymore. I'm not, you know. When I say scared of them, I mean I'm not like physically scared of them.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
like,
I hear you. Yeah.
you know, scared of getting them arresting me or
Yeah.
taking me to jail. I'm not worried about that anymore.
So because of that, there's a respect there, would you say? Where there was a
Yeah,
lack
I
of
mean,
respect?
Yeah, because I mean, I understand they have a job to do. You
Yeah.
know, I understand that. Society needs law.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? For us to operate as a human race, we need structure. We need law.
Yeah.
And I understand that now.
Yeah.
You know, before it was just like, man, we don't need them dudes. Man, them dudes ain't nothing but messing my life up, messing all my friends' lives up.
Yeah.
But now I see, you know, that society needs that. We need police officers in order for the society to function at all, really. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We have to, society has to have law. Has to have law.
So how does that transcend then that idea with Sam, you know, like others that you have influence over? Like before you would, you know, say something or do something that's, you know, I'm sure at some point was disrespectful towards law enforcement or about
Absolutely.
law enforcement.
Absolutely.
So how has that changed your posturing towards?
Well, Sam, you should bring Sam into it. Sam, how do I say it? Sam respects law enforcement.
Okay.
And I make sure of it. You know,
Mm.
I make sure he understands that with his special needs, with his autism, with his other things,
Right.
you know, I let him understand that the law enforcement is a safe place.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? If he's out and about somewhere and something happens, the law enforcement is a safe place.
Okay.
You know, that's a safe deal. They're the good guys.
Okay.
You know, where it used to be, I didn't think that way, but now I do. I want him to understand that. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
That I want him to understand that you know that they're okay. They're okay people.
Yeah.
You know, and I
Well-
don't. You know, I want him to respect that.
I mean, that's definitely upside down thinking
Yeah, absolutely.
from where we come from.
Absolutely, it is.
People think that's just easy when they see it, but it takes the Holy Spirit to move in our hearts, to renew us mentally, emotionally, right, and spiritually. You know, to do the work that the Holy Spirit does, that God does through the Holy Spirit, and it's life transformation, man, and it's a beautiful thing. Some people scoff at it. Some people say that's weak, and I'd say, man, it's being able to soberly face life is one of the hardest things you could ever do, right? With the help of God, though, the Bible says you can do all things. We can do all things through Christ who gives us strength,
Absolutely.
right? And indeed, He gives us strength to be able to do the unthinkable, right? Even when people scoff at this and that and the other, and I'm like, I know, tell me about it. It's crazy, right? But we get to do things that we never thought we would be able to do because of the emotional dysfunction that we had, the mental dysfunction, the upside down thinking that we had that was unhealthy for our families, for us, for society, you know. But let's just be real. We didn't care about society or
Right.
anything else. Now that we actually give a hoot,
Right.
you know.
You know, when I was still on federal paper, my probation officer came to my house for a home visit, and it was this lady, and she said, you know, Tommy, I just want to tell you a little story real quick. Like, okay. She said, the FBI officer that arrested you seen you the other day.
What?
Yeah. And I was like, what? She said, yeah, I seen you the other day, and came and found me and told me how proud he was of you, how good you were doing, and that he really had hope for you. And I was like, and it made me feel good. It made me feel good that the person who actually put me in prison, you know,
And that was the FBI defense.
the FBI, yeah, was actually praising me, actually giving me respect for the person I am today, you know, and that was just like it was mind blowing in one way, but in another way it was very humbling. It was, you know, like this guy who was my enemy at one time,
Yeah.
is now saying good things about me, and that was really, you know, that was really awesome. It was really an awesome feeling, you know.
Well, that's hope for my city, right? That's what this podcast is all about.
Right.
It's where those of us that are like-minded, they can come together and be who God has called us to be, or at least be on a pathway of peace, right? You know, for us, we have a scripture that we look at, and it's right here in Matthew, and it's
Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Matthew 5:9.
Matthew 5:9. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. The children of God, and that is the red letters. That was when Jesus was speaking, right, in the
Right.
Bible, and that's powerful. As we are peacemakers, bro, the Bible says we are blessed, and we get to experience the blessings of freedom, of staying out of, you know, the cage that we were locked up in, not only physically, but mentally and emotionally, and spiritually, right? That we can be free. The Bible says those that are free indeed, right? And what a blessing to be able to experience that freedom. That doesn't mean things don't get hard and we're absent from struggles, because that's the farthest from the truth. I mean, we go through it.
Oh man.
But he empowers us with his enabling spirit to be able to move forward despite the struggles going on around us or the struggles going on inside of us. And so y'all be encouraged, man. You know, Tommy, thank you for coming on, brother.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing your story.
Can I say one more thing real quick?
Of course.
I want people to understand that people who are new in recovery, it's not going to be easy. It's not. You know, there's not like, you know, I've had people ask me, man, what's the big secret? You know, what's your secret? How are you doing it? There's no big secret. There's no big one thing I can tell you. What I can tell you is, though, if you stick to it, it will get better. It gets easier. If you allow God to work in your life, He will get you through this. Not without tribulations, not without trials, not without issues, but you will get through it. You know, there's going to be issues all your life. You know, it's not just be, you know, I get sober now, everything's perfect. That's not the way it works. It's just not the way it works. But it is a better life, and it does get easier as time goes by, and it will get better. Just stick with it. So whoever you are that's having that problem, man, just stick with it, you know. I have a friend on Facebook. She lives in, I don't even know what state she lives in. I'm just Facebook friends with her from a sobriety group that I'm in. And she fell off the other day, and she says, man, how do you stay sober? How do you do? I said, look, it's not the end of the world. If you mess up, it's not the end of the world. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start over again.
Yeah.
You know, that's what you have to do, because problems will come, but you'll get through them. You know, so just don't give up. Whoever you are out there that need to hear that, just don't give up. Whatever you don't give up, God will get you through it.
That's it. Well, thank y'all for tuning in. We'll see y'all next time.